maybe less of that info gathering, but you still have a drone to work with Teho. And of course, Sad are going to bring the Vice in here. We've seen some good application of this in the past.
I'm a big fan of the Vice. SRB are almost playing the G2 comp. To do that, they would just have to replace their Cypher with a Vice. So almost identical to that. And on the topic of G2, obviously, Jogamo is one of the players bringing Waylay into the meta, and had said early on that he feels like all of the best Jets are just playing Waylay instead on the good Jet maps. And that hasn't been entirely true, but I'm excited to see Pain on this agent.
Okay, Pain drops down behind the two. Joe, please! Please! What are we looking at tree for? What's the tip-off there? Maybe he's expecting a fast A split, but just doesn't expect there to be such pace from main?
Yeah, even still is just absolutely caught unaware. Little unfortunate. This round is already in the bin for Sad, unless Zerona can do something incredible from heaven. Benji, the door is finally broken, and yeah, GG on this one. Wrap it up.
Pain, look for the ace.
Oh my god.
Little light speed. Not quite what they were looking for, but that's a lot of orbs accrued in the space of this singular round. So, suffice it to say, folks, the pistol round starts very well, or the game starts very well for Shopify Rebellion Black. Guys, we need to just wrap this one up. Thank you. BCJ will be credited with their final elimination, and we're off to round 2.
Their main fight was just pretty good from Shopify. What can you say? Pain was up top, able to drop down after that one-way expired, just get a couple free kills, and then Joa just offers himself up as a nice little juicy morsel waiting there in the middle of the site, and GG on that one. Not a whole lot to analyze from that. I'm gonna be real. Cool cross-map dart.
Paint just dropped down behind them off the ledge that one-way normally gets deployed on. Either way. NA Esports, yeah, a bit of communication breakdown there for them. Something that we've actually sort of wondered if Shopify Rebellion Black themselves had struggled with. And 0 point, though, of course. The standard one for Joa. We'll see 2 players. Shopify do have some decent armaments here. Just the one stinger. Everything else is pretty reasonable. Paint went straight up to a Vandal.
I will say on this map, win or lose, I am going to be paying attention to if Shopify's ability to tighten up these timings and the spacing between Paint as the duelist and the rest of the squad following up on him. Because that was troublesome on Haven. It was resulting in errors for Sad to exploit. And I want to see if that's going to persist or if they can clean that up.
Time not too shabby. Also, Paint now is in a role, or on an agent that obviously can get off those angles for free should they need to with Refract. So a little bit different than the Neon, who's very much all in, feels very committal in most of those scenarios and those early engagements. So B is going to be the play here. And it will be
trying to rush back in time.
Well, we heard that. Surely we heard that. Oh, okay. Refract comes in. Paint almost got down instantly, but with well enough armaments not to fall straight away. As Pancakes now wants to step it up. But Jerwin goes nuts there with the Sheriff. BCG has to put them down, but they won't know there's a player tucked here. Bench is at 7 health, but a right click could be the order of the day. BCJ ready for it though now. We're even on numbers, but a Bulldog's been picked up by Joa. Tuzi just tries to take the fight there out in the open. Now they're 2 versus 1. BCJ should be able to clean it up. Cool, calm, collected. This boy's been on some big stages. And we'll get Shopify at their second.
What an absolute hero. BCJ's util was also fantastic. Perfect timing to get that stun through on lane as well when there were only 6 seconds to get the spike down. It was a very light sell of a fake from SRB. They just had the KO throwing close right-click flashes through the dark cover. And so when no one's following that up, Sad are like, okay, well, they're clearly not here. We're just going to gun it over to the B side. And they actually beat them to the site. And that's how Jerwin was able to get those kills. But BCJ, an absolute hero.
The awful bonus here now for a Shopify after things got derailed a little bit there. We got there in the end. It's all about the destination, not the journey there. Jerwin here backs up back into market. Like, dark cover being thrown up, and we'll need to re-emerge in just a moment now as Paint's already got that conversion path already. Trade is there. Monty able to find Jerwin, take the jet out of the game, and Paint snuck in amidst all of this, but Benji's completely unconvinced. We'll see a barrel in a moment. We'll get all the info he needs. That's one you've got to get, and he does. And to Monzi, who couldn't find a decent weapon amidst all the chaos. So the bonus round does go the way of Sad. Shopify here, happy enough to buy up properly. Now it is Waylay Ultimate ready to go.
Pancakes early on there falling victim to an incredibly obnoxious situation that the Vice creates and thrives in, which is throwing that diagonal wall on B main. And then when you get in past it, someone's cut off, and then the rest of your team are being slowed down by the thorns on the ground. And especially, you know, Paint, he goes in initially, and then he's going to get the space and refract back into main, and then you're just stuck. And you're alone, you're miserable, you're dying.
It's a very troll wall, isn't it?
It's troll and it's good.
Oh, is this the trailer? This is exactly what the trailer looked like. Paint straight up mid through market with conversion paths. Really, an opportunity to find these Sad players who were stacked a little bit more heavily towards A. Paint sees a little bit of Zorona as they emerge now, trying to push the envelope a little bit further, and would have given an opportunity for Pancakes to get embedded there, but two obnoxious situations back-to-back for the Cypher player. Now to the BCJ. Looked very good to shut down that round two. This one not quite as stellar. We'll have an even game.
That wall came into play again, by the way, on main, because as the split came in, the players in main got stuck. So everybody from SRB, with Paint leading the way with that ultimate coming through the switch door through market, they were just alone fighting in this site. And then really it just further gets disconnected as those SRB players want to take the fight to Sad in spawn. And then finally the rest of the teammates get out and start to go to lane, and Benji's still back site. The Vice is so good on this map. I am such a fan of it.
Okay, Paint, might want to just trigger the wall. They've kind of got to send the Waylay in first and almost refract away from it just to get it out. They've done that here. Just the Cypher's been inserted over towards this B side. He'll play close. Mid, though, might be the plan. A lot of sheriffs in play. Stealth drone, in theory, would pave the way. But the suppression came in a little bit too late if they were hoping that Jerwin wouldn't be able to dash out.
Uzi spotted, but just going to play safe. Double back up with Joa, but you're right. I mean, you called out that refract has to be used to trigger the wall in B main. They don't have any other tools to do it with. And because the wall is actually placed within the site itself, it's not like you can just go walk in and do the little jump to get it activated. You're gonna die.
Exactly, just die. It's much better than like an info trip, right? Or even like the toolkit you try and play on.
It's goated. It's so good, man. I really, personally, I think Vice is like easily the best Sentinel on this map right now. Like, is the Cypher good? Yes, I think it's good, but I think the Vice is just great, personally. But
what do you have to do? Like,
regardless,
it's a weird, like, awkwardly 0 point the freaking Vice so they can walk up. I guess Null Command, you know, as they're not playing off the site, but I wouldn't bank on it. We're going to run in, run with Null Command and hope that the Vice is close enough to be affected by it. I just don't think so, and especially with, you know, the style of this Vice play is to sort of set util up on one side and then play the other. We see that all the time, especially when we have double Sentinel on this kind of map. So yeah, speaking of which, though, that Null Command is online for both of these KO players. Shopify losing a couple awkward rounds trying to hit A and B, excuse me. And now that Vice Wall's gone over to Tree.
German's got some fair control here with the op, and this is where defensively things can get out of hand. When you're SRB, you hear the op, you see it. Oh, okay, well, we don't want to go into that. Let's go over to the A site, and then you're running into multiple players with that Sentinel utility all over the place.
The Null Command got active. So we just pushed off that entirely. Here comes the Armageddon. This is going to force Tuzi onto the site, in theory. Out through the smoke, BZJ was able to deal with the Omen, which is kind of wild, but he might have been suppressed and unable to TP off there. That's kind of ridiculous. The freest of free kills there for Shopify. Little gap in that fragment, but Joa can't really make use of it because he just dies if he swings that corner. If he's that close to it, he's going to see them very late. Has his own non-command, but of course, no good reason to make use of it now. The 0 point sword 2. He has to know these defenders are tucked close. Quietly swinging out. There is at least a double swing available here for Benji had he not fallen when he did. And the trades are fine, but they're not going to be enough here. As Jerwin, yep, I'm suppressed. I'm getting the heck out of here. Pancake's going to be waiting to gobble him up, and he does.
It's the operator gone. Sad do have a lot of money, though. They can buy it up again. You just have to give massive credit to BCJ, who is, for me, the MVP of this series at the moment. Not only has he been finding good kills in this game, with that 4K earlier with the Guardian on a pivotal round for SRB, but it's also his utility that's just been massively impactful. Now, on a defensive setup that should have been very good for SAD, having all of that Vice Util to play around, they're just forced into the open by the Armageddon. BCJ collects 2. It's just so well done from him.
Okay, look at Paint. Very quick behind those salvos. No prior opportunity to catch someone out. The sheer walls back over towards the B side now. We're refracting out. The fake for now has been sold. But how quickly can Pancakes afford to get active here? The rest of Shopify moving in to take this B main space up. They're still going to have the same woes that they had. And there we go.
There's
we get a
one way
sheer
to do
wall
it.
clear. Yeah, through the cyber cage. Very reasonable way to get it out.
No one really in position to try and spam onto him, and now the full exec can come through for SRB. They have to deal with Benji entrenched backside with the arc rose. Pancakes claw exposed.
Paint with unreal composure there just to plant his feet and go for the tap. That's the B side cleared out entirely now. Of course, standard smoke will clear towards this defender side spawn area. And for the retake, there is a null command active. This is tough for BCJ because his salvos have just come back online. May look to make use of those momentarily. Also a stealth drone to sort of see this retake coming. He spots the op player. Knows that Jerwin is headed his way. And Joa, having been prior suppressed now, moves. Oh my goodness, the second! I don't know where he found that one from. Blades over the ready for Jerwin. And he whiffs every one of them. Gonna be twosie here, but once again, it's BCJ laying down the clutch. Putting Rebellion Black back in the lead.
Things just not synced up in that 2 versus 2 for SAD. 2 individual timings taken on the swings, punished by SRB. BCJ coming up clutch and putting the defenders in this uncomfortable position 2 rounds in a row where they have to retake at a disadvantage with the operator. And losing the op twice has put their economy in a horrible position now. This is starting to look like a very strong attack side for SRB. They really do everything right there. Pancakes getting the wall triggered early, like we mentioned, throwing down the cage. Just a lot of positives on that last round for Shopify.
Yeah, obviously a lot of ways, you know, when you start to think outside the box, you can clear it, but there's risk associated with all of them. Spaz! Yeah, come on, bro! That is crazy! Spaz with the most telegraphed TP ever basically issues a written invitation to SAD to look for him in that position. Tuzi's just a little bit slow, doesn't have the weapon to punish it. Swing that, you won't. Bam! Zerona's going to take him down though with the stinger. Looking for more. Pancakes will shut him down, but he's a steel guarded. Benji tries to even the score. And Shopify don't like what they see.
See, this is where things for SAD are just not as tight and regimented as they are for SRB. Like, Zerona taking that swing while Benji wants to use the Steel Garden, but just takes the fight too early. Then the Steel Garden is used, and it's just a nothing at all. You know, just those tiny little 1 second decisions, a moment of communication lost. And it's resulted in SRB being in a solid position to take this round.
Good salvos. Very good salvos, Wyatt. I mean, the timing's perfect there. SRB are like a half second ahead. That's more than enough now to get set up. BCJ been the clutch master in a ton of these rounds, and he is positioned to do the same should anything go a little bit haywire. Benji only has a sheriff. Still holding the shield wall, by the way. Never thought to make use of it in that prior round. No good to him now.
Does recover the rifle. Is going up against a couple of very weak players.
Not ready yet.
The issue is he's going to have to take time trying to clear the site. He hears one in main. He knows they're both main.
Surely a double swing, though, would solve this issue. Now, yep, with the util out, BCJ kind of knows
just over.
there's no time.
Move faster.
Pinged out by the cam. Pancakes probably doesn't want to give up a gun for this. It's a pretty avoidable situation, but that's the way it's got to go as BCJ gets caught by the blast. Money, by and large, fine here for Shopify Rebellion Black, and conversion paths again online.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I was about to point out. I want to see if SRB have another strat cooked up that they're going to throw out here with the conversion paths heading into this round, where Jerwin is also yet again invested in this operator. It is very good on defense Ascent. We all know that. That's always been the case. And when you don't have to go up against a Sova, that's nice too. You're only really worried about the stealth drone pinging you out, which obviously it does cover a ton of distance. It's a great utility piece for info gain, but
yeah, I think the last time Jerwin had a outlaw in hand, it was like a anti-ego, so didn't really get to see how Shopify were looking to deal with that defense side yet, but it's basically drilled into you on this map. You're gonna have to run into it at some point. Just look back over these last couple of rounds. Because Joa, just an unreal spray transfer there. Unfortunately, that's not enough to win in the round because BCJ has been clutching. This one here it's rough. You've only got a Sheriff. You do hit Spaz pretty bloody hard.
I mean, if they get that kill clean, the complexion of the round, very different. But Spaz is able to get a cheeky one. He got his. All right, Jerwin, off, mid. What is the plan? I mean, he's looking like he's on the right angle, I'll tell you that.
I mean, Shopify have to know exactly where he's going to be. Here's the drone. The drone just has to tuck here, and Zerona doesn't actually have to step out and clear it. So very strong mid presence here for Sat. It's rarely you see this on this kind of map. More likely it's given up and have an extra player over at A. He's going to contact. We are just going to contact mid against the op. And BCJ comes off the finally second best. His conversion partner heading over to the A side. Pain, of course, benefiting from that conversion buff. He's moving faster. He'll drop down here from heaven, but the timing gets the better of him. Zerona is able to emerge, and Jerwin, they never expect a second play with the shorty, that's for sure. Pancakes now has to try and salvage this, but look at where the spike is. Up on heaven. Jerwin, now very aware there will be players coming to collect.
Pancakes just wants to bide his time, hope that someone goes to re-cleared grass. Get that into a 2v3, and I didn't even realize, did not notice Spaz had the From the Shadows. That is an easy collection onto the spike. At least put this in a retake, and now Pancakes has the opportunity to try and find a kill when Sad are rotating off the site.
Sheer wall doesn't matter except in that it gives information to Sad. They've now realized that Spaz has crossed to the site. Pancakes is in the spot to do the funniest thing ever. He probably still is going to leave Spaz in a 1v2.
Yeah, I mean,
be hearing all this surely.
Even if he just gets one here and stays alive, he could cause enough delay for Spaz to be able to win this round out.
Oh, Spaz is so far forward on the side. Oh, it's okay. Just one.
They know.
Just one.
They're
they had a good idea. They were also double watching it as they tried to cross. All right, Spaz, time to step up. 1v3. Money with your mouth is, buddy. Over the top there, sees the jet. He knows Jerwin's going to swing. Where's spacing? What is the timing there from the defenders? They served themselves up to Spaz on a silver platter.
Just zero reason to be throwing that round away. SRB come into it with this large set play around their convergent paths. They make the mistake of not having a smoke mid for BCJ to actually be able to cross. He's punished with the off. They're sitting in that 2 versus 4 the entire time. And then 1v3, they just cannot trade on to Spaz. Pretty disastrous for him, Sad. That was the round to get back into this defensive side. And now when you've already got 6 on Ascent attack, you're playing with house money. Any more rounds after this, you're already chilling with 6. You feel totally fine with that, but any more than this, you're just up so good.
It was a 4v2. A bona fide 2v4 there, yeah, for Shopify Black.
Be right back.
Not where they want to see the defenders, but here we are. Okay, so Lightspeed actually already gets paint onto that A side. And okay, we are going to feed Pancakes with our Sheriff army. This town apparently ain't big enough for even one of these Sad players. Paint downed, and he was supposed to pave the way here for Shopify. So with that sort of falling apart, though, there's plenty of map to take now with the player advantage and decent amounts of info off the early action. Spaz now going to try and hold Tuzi and Benji in place.
Obviously, off that neural fit, SRB are aware that B is entirely unmanned, but it's taken them so long to get here that they're actually going to have to contend with everyone on SAD pushing back into the site. Just taking way too long. And now, yeah, we're running it back to A, but we're giving rifles and lives away.
It's fine. I mean,
okay.
Pretty well handled. You obviously had time to go over towards that A side anyway. Tough to paint, though. I mean, I think taken down by a play with just a sheriff, he really was being expected, I think, just to open that site right on up. Just doesn't expect that tree player.
No, definitely not. That could have gotten completely out of hand. It was just a lot of time being taken on this rotation over to B, and SAD beat them to it. However, they stabilize. Nice fight down mid. Jerwin, not enough cash for anything of significance, just has the Blade Storm, and off that they want to go for the Tiles Crunch, which is entirely avoided by SRB.
I love a Tiles Crunch. It just, yeah, it's rough. There's nobody there to see it. All over towards A for the time being for SRB. There's not a lot of this delaying util available. Spaz shows himself above the smoke there, and traders? Any traders? I'll take Khajiit at this point. Okay, there it is. BCJ and Pain at least dealing with it. Zoroni here, though. Looking to try and find a Hunter's Fury opener. That one's a little suspect there for SRB. Limited information about that A site, and they seem to get a little bit bottlenecked pushing through main.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did they get stuffed by the wall and then Spaz said, let me teleport on top of it? But just, is that what happened? I gotta
see no trade. I'm screaming for a trade, but no one can see heaven.
I was seeing him over the dark cover. I'm like, but they don't have a Sage. I mean, that's like some 100 Thieves Ethan on Sage, and they're boosting up to fight over the smoke and main. I'm like, oh, wait a second. I don't see Ethan and Hiko. How are they peeking over this dark cover?
This shield wall is just ruining Shopify, man.
How do we even get to the point where their economy is so bad that they can't have a full buy? I mean, yeah, I guess these rounds have been very close. Last of the half, SAD can get to 5. You're certainly not going to be comfortable with that on Ascent defense, but
you're in the game still.
Yeah, considering where they were at, they'll be happy to take it if they can get there.
Hitting the brakes.
Never really got going here. They never got multiple rounds with that defensive op in play either. All right, fast hit here behind the null command. Doesn't quite go the way they would have liked it to, I think. Razorvine there would have slowed people down on Speedway. Yeah, it's the sheer wall keeps them in the Yep, well, we're chilling. Monty obviously is much easier to get up now, but there's no way the rest of his team is going to get to him.
Yeah, they're somewhat aware of where SRB are located at the moment.
Now we
yeah, the spike may or may not be down inside of the site.
Pancake steps up with the help of the flash. That is a beautiful entry. Cobbled together, honestly, expertly here by Shop. Wow. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pancakes. All right, one more here. Not to be too sharp there.
Brother.
Look, again, just some of these odd spacing moments here when you are wanting to try and, take these trades. Shopify Rebellion sort of let themselves down.
Yeah, I mean, they went for, Spaz went for the let me jump and draw the crosshair, but I think that was BCJ. Listen, they were not entirely coordinated on that one, unfortunately. Yep, there's the wall.
Oh,
yeah, that was just a little slow on the swing.
It was the saturation that came in on to the Sova of Zerota, so theoretically, right, your gun speed is drastically reduced, but didn't seem to be an issue for the Sova. The sheer wall is just a little too goated, bro.
It's so annoying.
Seriously, it is the most powerful part of SAD's offering on this map.
No, straight up. Yeah, that wall has won the multiple rounds. The wall has won the more rounds than the guns have. Like, it's just goated. But all right, let's see if they can make a run at this game on the attack side.
The difference, I guess, is that it's a wall that you cannot blow up. That is automatic, so you don't have to be like Sage and sort of deploy it preemptively or like Deadlock, for example. It really just does everything you need it to without you having to do anything more than place it in a good spot. It is an absurdly powerful form of util. This is the second half now, folks. Round 13 sees SAD Esports on this attack side now. Joe are having a very good first half in the end and a decent recovery for Sad.
Some presence continuing to be shown by the attackers towards B main. You can see that Joe just threw out that 0 point. The Sad are taking their sweet time. They were going towards A main, but are now running back. They're going to go into this B split. As soon as they break this trip, they're going to give up the game, though, and SRB should be on the rotate over towards this site, and they have 2 players entrenched in the back, and there's 20 seconds left. Sad, we're taking too much time. Go!
They're going to get slowed up even more. This Speedway hit is going to get punished. Salvos come down. 13 seconds left. BCJ, pot shots there towards the smoke. It's German going down first. Monzi, second to the fight. But the victor ultimately 2 up here for Sad. It's got to be a plant here, and they know it.
What?
Not enough time to plant, buddy. That is brutal. Spaz with the clutch without seeing any action, really. And he'll just clean them up. That insult to injury. Oh, dear.
It looked like Sad had full intentions of just pivoting into an A hit, and then last second, someone said, wait, let's actually split B. And then they go back, have to break the trip, and as soon as that's happening, all of SRB are running over, and they had 2 players backside the whole time, and there were 20 seconds left. Like, it just seems like they changed their minds and went for another pivot. They felt like SRB were too stacked in that A site, perhaps. I would have to see if something indicated or gave that impression to them. I mean, there were a couple players there, but damn, they just drained the clock way too far. German, well,
Back in a flash.
unlucky.
Disrespects the smoke there and has 2 players set up in A main, so I'm not super sure what the plan was there. There's no opportunity to really trade off that. So now we have a player embedded in Wine. But Spaz is sort of wise to it. Already on that angle. Yep, sees enough action to know. Luckily, Zerona is able to get out.
Joe is trying to work up mid. Again, this same trip is just placed there for the standard defensive info gain.
Pretty straightforward stuff here. BCJ off the timing will just slow down a push and, oh yeah, capitalize, of course, off that little nasty one-way cyber cage that we used to see on Sunset. Really potent. But that mid control is something now that Sad have to lean into a little bit. Try and get Joe up. Okay, so the A control is something that Sad want to try and go for here. Getting into tree. They're going to have Spaz set up towards main.
And again, guys, we're running out of time. SRB are all over the site. We're getting out of 1 dark cover. They are, well, they should be entirely cooked, and they are. It was a cool little idea towards the end. You saw that it was actually Zerona who sent a shock dart to break the trip in mid, to give the impression that, hey, maybe there's not actually like a player close walking through the trip, but there wasn't really any reason for Pancakes to give that lineup, so he did get the free kill onto Joa, but
yeah, I mean, when you're not in when you don't lose any early players, right?
Yeah, it was this instance I'm talking about.
Yeah. And Pancakes knows he's got 2 players at A, 2 players at B, so there's no reason for him to get off that line. He is the mid player in that scenario. He doesn't have other parts of the map to cover. And clearing that util makes way more sense. I think if you like take an early trade on the map and like thin out the defenders a bit.
This is the first full buy for Sad, but it's a Jerwin that did not have heavy armor. Goes down to the one shot from Pain.
One guy, bro.
That's so brutal.
And B site, pretty canvas with that Cypher utility. And of course, BCJ has just been throwing guided salvos down in B main just to buy some time and again play off that one-way cyber cage that is set up there, just altering his angle, but still a potent one with the Guardian that he's kept from the previous round. I don't think Monty sees anything yet. But he's about to.
Might have gotten the spot just there. Yeah, he definitely did. Sad are attempting to go into this B split. They have a lot of Cypher utility to deal with.
No chance prior to shut the door for the defenders, so they'll be a little isolated for the time being. There it is. It's the Teo util on Speedway. The Benji can't get clear of. Joa flashed to smithereens. And our Sad's gun round, the one they've been sort of working towards, has already been basically broken. You're on a 2-gun save here, almost certainly. And what was a quasi bonus for Shopify in this second half Goes off without a hitch.
It just becomes so incredibly difficult when your jet
10
is down
seconds
to
left.
try and execute into these Ascent sites. Not having that space creator, the way that the map is laid out, you're just getting bogged down at the chokes. They're really narrow. And so when you're just trying to get through and everyone can stare right at you, just one piece of utility can fully slow you down. Really just becomes a nightmare situation. It's resulted in Sad being down by 5, forced into the timeout, forced into a bad buy. Looking pretty tragic at the moment. And not just that, they're also just staring down elimination from this Swiss stage, being forced into the promo relegation tournament.
There's some highlights of the game that sort of went down. This is the first, the last few defense side rounds here for Sad, where, you know, again, they've got good control of these sites with that Vice utility. It's pretty frustrating at times for Shopify to puzzle a way through. They're going to have to think about that going forward, I think, some of these other matchups, because, again, for both teams, they can't afford to lose from this point out. There's still a couple more rounds of Swiss before we get to the playoffs. But, yeah, got tough here. Paint very quickly got a scoped weapon in their hands. Joa tries to test mid, even though it was a shock that cleared the recon. They were still waiting for it. And that is brutal. Gerwin has a rifle and doesn't have full armor. That was the pistol from way back.
All right, so out of this timeout, you're going to have Sad, like we mentioned, just not being able to put together any buy of significance. Paint will be more than happy to just keep going with the Outlaw.
All right, let's get into this.
I'm sorry, what did Tuzi just bring into this round? Am I seeing things correctly? He bought a heavy armor, just has the classic and is down to 400.
Did he hand something over to Joe and maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Did he hand? Yeah, he must have just gotten.
Are they trying to get an attack side up early?
Rifle to Tuzi, but why would? But what, he has a heavy. I'm not going to try to crack the guy.
I mean, I kind of wish Apex did this before a bit more often, but you know, that's just personal opinion.
I'm going to allow Sad to go in and see if this works. Strowman has that meter rifle, collects 2, but Paint on the refract, stays alive, trades things out. Well, and here's Tuzi. He's got his heavy armor and a rifle now, so
hey,
maybe he can win out the round.
Problem solved. Able to scavenge a downed weapon. Benji also went up to a Guardian. Now, the issue is that BCJ should have his salvos online soon-ish. Should be coming back off cooldown. Special delivery here. There's still been no plants. This is bought all the time. Oh, Buddy Paint's in there. Okay, he's out of there. Never mind. Let's run it back. And, well, Sad to saunter around the site, refusing to plant. They don't have any information. So, eventually, Shopify get bored waiting.
I love how they play that. It's just the small things, but, man, BCJ is really just a consistent, intelligent player. The way he's using this Tejo utility and repositioning himself is really lovely to watch.
30 seconds.
Such a standout for me today. You touched on it before, but man, I mean, the experience gap as well that this guy has compared to the field, and I mean, definitely compared to this server, is really so valuable to this SRB team to have someone like him who's competed on the world stage.
Pancakes had a great game today as well. Fantastic on the previous map. 21 frags there. Here is rocketing to get another strong showing. Only round 17, but Shopify Rebellion already knocking on the door of a series exit, and their stay here in Challengers Stage 2 being prolonged. Remember, 4 and 3 gets you into playoffs. So they have to win out from here. This match and then the next 2 consecutively. Again, for these guys, that is still quite a climb. You know, there are a lot of very, very good teams that are awaiting them here, of course, in Challengers. So they need to be ship-shape from here on out.
Tackside operator is just slowly working its way up mid, but
so this is why they gave German, they bought German the rifle last round. They did better work. That's out the bag. Right, Joe there to back him up. All right. I wouldn't say that was the operator that got them what they wanted there, Wyatt, but good mid control. Monty, you're peering in now. A couple of players actually grouped up here. Joan, oh, sorry. Misses, flash in. Bladestorm gets him absolutely nothing. And that's the best SAD have looked on this half. And it's not enough.
You've still got Tuzi with just a stinger on account of the weird economic situation that he's found himself in all alone. I like this though. Benji's going to take contact for him, get that initial shot off.
Player standing.
All right.
Well done.
Salvage the situation. Expensive round though. Very expensive for SAD Esports. Their money, pretty trash. Jerwin, it was quite a gambit to try and get a op in that Jet's hands on the attack side. And really, hard to see the proof of concept for it there. It ended up being Joa in this position as Jerwin falls back, taking 2 kills, allowing the repost of the op.
Yeah, they didn't actually have any utility in that multi-man swing, just hoping that they would have overwhelmed SAD with the numbers, but there were some really nice, precise shots with the Guardian coming through. And that paranoia from Spaz just came a few seconds too late. We've got the full rifle buy from SAD. If they lose this round, they're going to have virtually no money on the follow-up.
Shoulder pick for Spaz. Did his minimap reveal? Okay. Dark cover down now to slow this up. There are 3 players here for Shopify Black.
You're done.
Well, Jerwin dying to the Outlaw. Tuzi also.
Oh my god. Just finds 2 of the 3 players that have the light armor to get instant kills on.
Coming back from that is going to be tough. Joa here will not be brought back into the game. So that is 2 players left here for SAD. And again, they're obviously forcing for much of this game. The money's just terrible. Round to round, they're lucky to get a rifle or 2 from this point onward. For Shopify, it's just an embarrassment of riches. Nothing.
I mean, you go for it, right? You just have to go for it. You're not trying to save into this next round.
CJ, the sacrificial lamb here.
30 seconds left.
That cyber cage is sort of being triggered, so they know. Once he's out of it, this is doable.
Standing.
Now it's up to Benji. Spike down. They don't know where he is. Showing himself on Speedway, though. Now in the 1 versus 2. Climbing back into the game. Spaz and BCJ a combined 57 points of health. Benji's healthy enough for this, but of course, opts to spam and give himself away. That spam against these low-health targets is a pretty reasonable proposition. BCJ trying to stay clear of the spike. Into the smoke we go! He was ready for it. That's devastating.
Oh, at some point, he just knows he has to jump in. There could be someone on it. He could be missing the spam.
All right. Well, here we go, folks. Match point here for Shopify Rebellion Black. Staying in the hunt for playoffs, importantly. See how the round went down. It was, again, beautiful. 2 shots in the chamber, 2 kills off that, because to try and get rifles in hand, SAD are being forced to forego that full armor. Not this time,
SRB, they're staying in the hunt, and if I'm correct, they're going to have to win, including this match, 3 in a row to get into the playoffs. After winning the stage 1 playoffs, they are in such a situation that no one would have thought they would have found themselves in.
They go up against the 2-3 team. If they win here, they go up against the 2-3 team in their next game. So it's not as if they randomly get pitted against Envy or something like that. That's the beauty of Swiss. You go for other teams that are with similar records to you, and if they are the quality team they've shown themselves to be, possibility. The fact that they put themselves here and have to do that is what grates, I'm certain. Not even there for BCJ.
Definitely winning out here should be somewhat easy. They have the Armageddon. They have better weapons to get back in. Can they dodge out this Hunter's Fury? Yes, they do, but Tuzi finds an opening.
Now, BCJ gets in there. Look at him, always asking for more from that heaven position. Armageddon was sent over towards A main. There was no one there for SAD. A reasonable conjecture, I think, for BCJ, but it didn't yield any results. Now, though, the net starts to close. Jerwin and Benji huddling together for war. There's just Jerwin with a stinger in hand to try and keep SAD in this. Spaz has already gotten it to half, and so SAD Esports are out of the hunt for playoffs. This loss here sends them to 1-4, eliminated from Split 2.
If this SRB team were easily a cut above today, I don't think it was as clean, honestly, in some situations as they might have hoped, but still